Welcome to Success in Brief. I'm your host, Rosanne Felicello. In every episode, we spotlight successful women in the law. We discuss with them their journey to success. We talk about the difficulties and the trade-offs, along with the highlights and the benefits, and about what success means to each of them. We hope to inspire you with these stories on your own path to success. Hello, my name is Rosanne Felicello, and this is Success in Brief. And today I'm thrilled to welcome my good friend, Alicia Tallbe, to today's podcast. Welcome, Alicia.
Hi, Rosanne. Thank you so much for having me.
Alicia is a partner and Deputy Chair of Litigation Department at Yankwitt LLP, a law firm in White Plains, New York. I previously worked with Alicia at Patterson Belknap. She has a BS from Maris in Business Administration, which I'm sure helps her a lot in her law career, as well as a JD from St. John's. She's also clerked for two federal judges, Judge Karras and Judge Seibel. So I'm excited to speak to Alicia and hear more about her path to success. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to chat with you today.
Let's jump right in. What was your path to becoming an attorney?
My dad is an attorney, and I think I wanted to become an attorney way before I knew what that meant. I've always idolized him. I loved hearing his stories from work, and it was just always so exciting to hear how every case was so different, the strategy that goes into it, and I was just always fascinated with it. So he has his own firm in Poughkeepsie, New York. I worked there after school throughout high school. I worked there summers in college, and I just, my interest in it just became more intensified the longer I did it. I was very grateful to have the opportunity, in my own family to get a really good window into what it was like to be a litigator.
Well, that's great to have that mentorship for you. So he was a litigator also?
Yes. He has a personal injury firm in Poughkeepsie, New York.
I'm from Marlborough, New York, so we grew up on the opposite sides of the river, I think.
Yes, well, I grew up in Highlands. We're actually neighbors.
Actually, I think our high schools are competitors in sports. So
yes.
Small world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was basically your first job in the law with your dad. But after law school, what was your first legal position?
So I joined Sherman & Sterling as a first-year associate, which was a much different experience. I went from my dad's firm to an international law firm with, I think at the time, maybe 1,800 lawyers. It was definitely a different world. It was a great experience. I learned so much about big law, about, being an associate at a big law firm, kind of all of the dynamics and different types of cases that I had never been exposed to. It was a great experience.
Did you ever consider going into personal injury law like your dad?
I did, yeah. When I went to law school, that was my plan. But I kind of, through law school internships and different opportunities, I got to experience different things. And I just realized I am a generalist at heart. I love practicing in a lot of areas of law, and I haven't found one that I want to do every day. And so I have gravitated towards firms that have general litigation practices, like Yankwitt LLP, where I am now. Patterson Belknap was the same. And I kind of fell in love with that variety from clerking, where every case you pick up is different. It's always a challenge, and you're always learning new areas of law.
And how did you get into sort of going to the clerkship after you started practicing? I know when I was in law school, the path was you had to go to your clerkship immediately, but I know that changed within a few years of me graduating. So what was the process like for you?
So I was applying for clerkships when I was in law school, and I accepted the clerkship with Judge Karras when I was in law school. But he, like many other federal judges now, make offers for a year or two out of law school, and are bringing in clerks very often that have a year or two experience at a firm. So when I joined Sherman, they knew that I had the clerkship at the end of the first year.
Great. And then you took another clerkship right after that. Is that right?
Yes. So that was a very fortunate circumstance where Judge Seibel was nominated for the bench in the White Plains Courthouse in the Southern District of New York, the year that I was clerking for Judge Karras. And the clerkship was, I think, hands down the best experience I've ever had. I gained so much from it, and I saw an opportunity to do it again, because I thought, it would be helpful. I applied to her hoping that she would want to have someone who had clerked before, since it would be her first year on the bench, and it worked out. So I got the job, and I worked with her for her first year on the bench. It was such a great experience, and I was fortunate enough to get to clerk for 2 years.
That's great. And were they both in White Plains?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So you got to see your other judge too at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I've stayed in touch with both of them over the years. They've been amazing mentors to me.
So what kinds of cases did you get to work on during your clerkship?
All different things. I mean, I remember a lot of federal civil rights cases. I think the first summary judgment motion that I had helped the judge out on was on an insurance dispute. I remember a patent application. There were just all types of cases. I mostly worked in the civil cases, but got a lot of exposure to at least observing the criminal proceedings. But it was a great variety there.
And so after clerking, is that when you came to Patterson Belknap?
Yes.
I think that's when we overlapped.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And how did you choose to go to a firm like Patterson?
When I was thinking about what to do after clerking, when you're clerking, you hear about a lot of firms. And at that time, there were, a lot of recruitment events for law clerks. And so I'd spoken to a lot of firms and kind of thought about a lot of firms. And when I met with the people at Patterson Belknap, I just felt an instant connection. Like I felt like I would really do well there and that I would love the experience there. And I did. I was there for almost 7 years and it was fantastic. I mean, I learned so much. I have so many mentors and friends there. It was a great experience.
That's great. Yeah, no, I enjoyed my time at Patterson as well. I think that is a great place to learn
Yes.
how to practice day to day in big law and in that environment.
Absolutely.
So from Patterson, you moved on to Yankwitt. So what made you make that switch?
So my family was expanding. I had a third son on the way. We had outgrown our city apartment and, decided to move to Westchester, to the suburbs. And, I decided I wanted to make a move to a smaller firm, something closer to home. And, I was connected with Yankwitt LLP. I met the people here. I was so impressed by what Russell Yankwitt, the managing partner, had built. It's such a unique firm in Westchester. All of the senior attorneys here are former federal law clerks or federal prosecutors or both, all trained in big law. And it's filling such an interesting niche in the Westchester market in particular, but really throughout New York and in New Jersey, where we are able to provide a caliber of client service at a lower price than big law firms. But we bring the skill set and the training that we got from big law, from clerking, and it's a really amazing group of people that the firm is now comprised of, and it's been such a great place for me. I've grown so much as a lawyer, and I consider everyone here a friend. So it's been a perfect fit.
That's great. I've seen the firm really grow over the years since you've been there.
Yes.
How have you participated in the growth of the firm?
So now in my role as Deputy Chair of Litigation, I work a lot in recruiting, in staffing, in the strategy of kind of building out the firm, where we need to build out, kind of who we need to hire to. I mean, we're blessed with being very, very busy. And so we've grown so much, but are able to, and we are attracting such talent. So we're really able to choose people that just kind of fit perfectly in the model here. And I'm able to participate in that a lot now through my roles. I work a lot with the staffing and in recruitment.
That's great. And you like doing that, apparently. It seems like it shows on your face that you enjoy that part of the job as well.
I do.
Yeah. So how did you navigate the path to partnership? Because moving from being an associate at a big firm to a partner at a firm.
Sure. So I came into Yankwitt LLP as counsel, and I was here for a few years, and I was given the opportunity here to run my own cases, the complex litigation, and kind of to be able to prove time and again that I was a skilled litigator. I am able to run a complex litigation, forge client relationships, and I think that demonstrating leadership, both in terms of running a case and with other people, I have a natural interest in mentoring. I spend a lot of time doing that. I love kind of investing in the next generation of lawyers, and I think investing in the next generation of lawyers really is an investment in our firm also. And I think, kind of demonstrating that I care about the success of the firm, the success of the people, and that, that I am a skilled litigator that can, multitask many, many, many things. I think that all helped.
Were there key cases or key moments that you had to make a decision about whether you wanted to move into being a partner versus staying as counsel? Or
I'm sorry, you just cut out for a second. I couldn't hear.
Sorry. So was there a key inflection point where you had to decide whether you wanted to go for the position of partner, or whether it's just something that sort of organically happened, or was there a particular case that you felt like you were taking on and really moved you from being sort of seen as counsel to being a partner level attorney?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it happened organically. I don't know that there was a single moment or case. I could feel that I kept growing as I was here. I kept, in terms of taking on more responsibility, and it just kind of happened very naturally.
Great. That's the best way, probably.
Yeah.
As you moved through your career and made these decisions about taking on going to be a law clerk, choosing which firm to go to after your clerkship, deciding when and if to leave Patterson to go to Yankwitt, how do you go about making these big career decisions? Do you tend to keep your own counsel? Are there certain people that you speak with, or certain advice that you take? What is your process like for making these decisions?
So for those big decisions, I usually talk to all of the mentors in my life that I have accumulated over the years. I've gone back and talked to law school professors about career moves, my parents always, the judges that I clerked for. I've spoken to partners at Patterson about, the move up here, and it's, I am very fortunate to have no shortage of brilliant people to talk to and get, advice on before I make career moves. It's kind of consistent with the way that I am in general. It's like I like to research, gather all of the information, and make an informed decision and make sure I've considered every permutation and consideration. So yes, it's not just my own counsel by any means.
You just brought up mentors, which I think are extremely important, and so important to be mentors now to those that are coming up behind us. But how did you go about sort of finding those mentors and creating those mentor relationships?
So They most often just happened naturally in working with people. There are several professors at St. John's that I feel just invested in me and really, helped to guide me through not only law school, but internships and clerkship opportunities. In law firms, the same thing, working closely with someone. And I think it's, it has to be mutual. That I think, like, when you're looking for a mentor, whether or not consciously, there are certain people that you just connect with. And that has fortunately happened for me in each of the jobs that I've had, including my current one. I consider the executive director here and our managing partner here, Dina Hammerman and Russell Yankwitt, two mentors of mine. And it's really about people who invest in you and want you to be successful. So it's just kind of happened naturally, but fortunately, it's happened a number of times. So I'm very grateful.
And how do you sort of pay that forward? How do you go about mentoring others that are coming up behind you?
So I spend a lot of time mentoring our associates here. And I'm very fortunate that the firm is very supportive of all the efforts, and allowing us to kind of roll out formal training. I meet with each of the associates every Monday to go through all of their cases, to make sure their professional development is on track, that they're getting opportunities that they want, that they're getting opportunities that they don't even know they want yet. But, I think so much of mentoring is taking time to talk to people, to give them feedback about their work, to listen to what they're interested in and try to align that with opportunities where possible. And, especially in a litigation firm where there's so much kind of strategy and nuance, and there's so much going on behind the scenes with every case decision. I think it's so important whenever possible, and I know everyone's busy, but whenever possible, to sit down with the junior associate on the team and say, this is why we're doing it this way. Because that's how, every lawyer starts to internalize the way you think about things, as, to be the best advocate you can be.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important. It's one thing to send back a brief that's been revised or edited with the red lines, but to take the time and to explain why the changes are being made and why they're necessary, and they're not just style. Sometimes it's style, but more likely than not, it's not just style. It really is there's a reason behind the edit.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I think you hit it on the head when you said, like, when you send back a brief that's been redlined, I think there is sometimes the red line just gets accepted without, fully digesting everything that's changed. And that's why whenever it's possible to sit with someone and kind of talk through what you did and why, is really so important for junior attorney development.
And we don't always have the time in our jobs to do that, right? I mean, sometimes things are moving quickly and you don't have the time, but when you do, it's important to take that time.
Absolutely.
Do it. Let's see. Speaking of which, being a mentor and having mentors who've guided you, have you found that your role as a woman has played any role in that? Like the fact that you're a woman in your career and moving through this still very male-dominated profession that we're in, especially litigators in New York. Have you found being a woman has had any effect at all on how you've navigated that?
Navigated litigation or mentoring?
Navigated sort of mentoring in your career, and sort of, how you go about sort of making those decisions and moving, and finding your success.
Yeah, no, it absolutely has. It has. And, I have found that I have sought out mentors in women, because I do think the experience in litigation as a woman is just different than for a man. There have been many times where I have realize that I'm the only woman in the courtroom, the only woman in a meeting. And I think it's so important to build up other women attorneys, which is part of why I think what you're doing here is so amazing, because we need role models. We need, people. Imposter syndrome is so real. It is so pervasive. And I wish I knew what it was called when I was a younger litigator so that I could put a word on what I was feeling all the time. But, it is so empowering to see other women succeed, to play a role in it, or to have other successful women, support you. So I think it has a huge impact. And it's something that I strive to do, is to really help the next generation of women litigators get to where they want to be.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the day where it's not rare, where it is rare to be the only woman in the room, and not rare to see lots of other women,
Yes.
Litigators in the courtroom, New York State, federal, commercial division, wherever you go.
Absolutely.
So, do you find a difference in practicing at a firm in White Plains versus when you previously practiced in New York City, or is it not really different because your firm sort of practices everywhere anyway?
So, there are certain aspects that are certainly different. We do practice all over New York State, but we have a very large docket of cases in Westchester. So we are very familiar with the judges, with the practices. There are firms in the city that ask to co-counsel with us because, for Westchester cases, because of how well we can navigate the courts here. And, they're similar types of cases, but really the footprint that we have in Westchester is so substantial that, we're well known in the courthouses by other counsel. And so I think it's something that the clients really benefit from, is our familiarity with the area here.
No, I expect that is definitely true. I know, myself, sometimes lawyers from other states will want to co-counsel just because we know the New York City, courtrooms better than they would if they're not, usually down here because we're there. So
yeah,
it makes a difference to be somewhere.
Absolutely.
So I know you have a life outside of work, at least somewhat, because we live in the same town.
Yes.
Phenomenal. And I know you have 3 children, which are gorgeous and wonderful.
Thank you.
And I'm sure they're keeping you very busy, but how do you do it? We all do it a little bit differently, but how do you, whether it's a balance or a tug of war, how do you make the trains run every day?
I ask myself that all the time. So yeah, to be a mother and a litigator, yes, I have to be a master at multitasking, at thinking ahead, solving problems everywhere. And, I am fortunate to work at a firm that allows for a lot of flexibility in my schedule, which I think is so important for working parents. It's just, nobody wants to work less. It's just, you need to be able to have some flexibility. This summer, my kids' camp closed. It was flooded and closed unexpectedly, even though I had a perfectly planned summer. So, last week I'm scrambling to try to make sure they're all in a place where they'll be happy and well taken care of and engaged, so that I can, from during business hours, focus on this job. So, I'm grateful to have the flexibility. I'm grateful to have a husband and partner who is really a partner in everything. It's, we're able to really share in childcare and kind of the home life aspect of it. But yeah, it's a lot. And I do think that I'll look back in the future and say, I'm not really sure how you did all of that, but we're women, so we could do anything. We just figure it out. Yeah, every time I feel overwhelmed or like I have too much on my plate. My mom always says to me, like, you'll do it. You're going to get it all done and do a great job. You always do. And I have like tried to make that my internal voice as well, because there are plenty of those moments where you wonder how it's all going to get done, but somehow it does.
Yeah, there's plenty of those moments. Okay, so last 3 questions are somewhat rapid fire.
Okay.
So just sort of quick. What is the one thing you wish you knew when you graduated law school that you know now?
One thing I wish I knew. That, you know, like I said earlier, I really wish I knew of the concept of imposter syndrome and that it was something that I was going to say so many people, but I will say pretty much everyone suffers from. It's, at some point. And I do feel like if I could have put a name on it and really realize that it is real, but it's something that can be overcome, I would have saved myself a lot of grief and self-doubt.
No, I agree on that one. I mean, knowing that it's something that's real and that everyone actually feels it does seem to make it a little bit less scary when you're feeling that anxiety that
Yes.
maybe you're not doing the right thing or doing well enough. Or I remember my first job out of law school, and for the first probably 6 months, every day I thought someone was going to call and tell me that I was being fired because I wasn't actually doing the job correctly, like just for no reason. Didn't believe that I had actually, gotten it. So
we've all been there.
It takes a while. Okay, second one. If you couldn't be an attorney and you didn't go to law school, what other career would you have chosen?
It's funny. I've wanted to be an attorney for so long. I don't know that I've ever spent much time thinking about doing something else. I think maybe I would want to do something where I'm working with people all the time and feel like I'm using my skills to help people. Maybe something like psychology, something in that area.
That's a great one. And finally, would you recommend a law career to a woman considering going to law school today?
100%. Yes. And I would encourage her to reach out to me throughout her career so that I can tell her to overcome imposter syndrome and, do whatever I could to help support her success.
What do you value most about having your law degree?
What I value most is being able to think creatively and critically every day to solve problems for other people. What's really interesting about litigation and meeting, and working with all different clients on different types of cases is that you're presented with problems all the time, problems that people have tried to solve themselves and they couldn't. So they're reaching out to you as an attorney who understands the law, how to navigate the legal system, the court system, how to avoid the court system, which is the goal for many people, understandably. And so, with each of these problems that we're asked to solve, we get to kind of bring all of our experience and skills to come up with creative solutions that get to what the client wants. And sometimes that is litigating a case until the very end. Sometimes it's negotiating an early settlement, and you have to factor in all types of variables. Some clients are more cost conscious than others or concerned about negative publicity. And so each of these variables kind of makes every case different and allows, for creating really specific and creative solutions to try to get the client what they're looking for. And I love being able to use my law degree to do that every day.
Yeah, that's great. I definitely agree. It's so much fun sometimes to put together the puzzle as to how we're going to get to the solution, because
Yes.
there's so many different ways of getting there, and finding out the best solution for that particular client at that particular moment in time.
Right.
Really does involve using a lot of skills both you learned in law school and you experience, and probably experience as a mom, because balancing the different needs and wants of different personalities is definitely a skill that you learn.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Alicia, so much. This has been so much fun to talk to you. And
it's been fun for me too. Thank you so much for having me.
I hope we get together in real life soon.
Absolutely.
You've been listening to Success in Brief with your host, Rosanne Felicello. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, and sharing the show with others. You can catch prior episodes at www.felicellolaw.com and on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Twitter, and more.